Daf Samach Gimel Amud Aleph 23 lines down. The last Braita brought down Rabbi Yehuda opinion regarding the allowance of cases seemingly of interest and Hachamim. So now, seemingly there's a similarity between Rabbi Yehuda and Hachamim. We're going to get into the details. My Bana, what's the difference between Hachamim and Rabbi Yehuda? Amar Rabaya, Tzad Ehad Beribit Ikabana. The difference between Rabbi Yehuda and Hachamim is whether or not you allow a contingency interest on one side, which means that's literally means what it means is that if you are offering a transaction that has a possibility of interest, that is a contingency, and that's mutar according to the Yehuda. Chachamim would say that sort. Rav Amar Rabba says the difference is whether or not you're allowed to make the difference between them would Chachamim would not allow a case of rebate sale if you're gonna even if you're gonna return it. Yehuda would allow it. Marava says Hashidam Rabbeinu. Now that we know that Rabbeinu holds you're allowed to do forward contracts, you're allowed to front it basically. Mali hen because he says what's the difference if you're taking the goods or you're taking cash? Mali mali hen. Maybe we should also say the opposite. What's the difference if the guy is giving you the value of the money or something or cash itself? And therefore we learn from Vienna that you can enter a contract based off of an item, based off the current market price. Even if it's not in stock. All right. Hidush against everything we just said. The Braita says, Rabbi Oshaya, the Braita said that we're posek like says only if it's in possession. But it's not in stock, it's asur. So according to Ravad, it doesn't sound good. In the case of Rabbi Oshaya, it's referring to a loan. No cash changing hands, big problem, can't do that. But in the case of a sale where the seller is receiving nadi, he's receiving money at the time of the sale, that's okay. Rabbi said together, my time how come Hamim said Poskina Sharabarshuk, you have to enter into the contract of the market price? Even if there's no, it's not in stock, because he could say Shekila Tivotech, because the guy can tell him, he's you would take your favor and throw it into the bushes. Yani, you keep your favors because what's the difference if you delivered me more than what I paid? Meaning, what's the gain that am I gaining? If I had $100 and I said, hold it for me for wheat, and now the wheat's worth $120, and you're going to give me $120, is there really a difference? No, because because if I had the cash in my own hand instead of giving it to, I could have bought the item cheaper and made the same profit or more. So there's no difference whether or not I made it through you or not. It's not considered interest. And if that's the case, that there's no difference if the guy didn't gain through you. Yeah, he could have gained by himself. And then it should be like the famous case of a pound for a pound. If I borrowed a pound of wheat and I'm returning you a pound of wheat, we said because of price fluctuations in the market during the time that makes an interest. But if we could say the same thing, what's the difference? The guy would have told him I could have made my own money with my wheat. And therefore, don't do me any favors. Don't consider it a favor, but regarding the price fluctuations. But we know that's pound for a pound. Is asur. That's goes against what we just said. Over there, it's a loan by the pound for pound. Over here, by the contract, it's a sale. That's why it's mutar. But if the buyer would go buy it at the cheaper price, right? He said, oh, he could have bought it at a cheaper price and then made his own profit. He'd have to pay the broker fee. The Gemara said, okay, so maybe you have to pay him for the broker fee as well, right? Just because you cut out the broker, you would have to pay the broker fee as well. No difference. Yani, don't think that's an answer why the transaction should be different. In our case, you would have to pay for the brokerage fee as well to the seller. Ravashi says, a man's funds does the brokering for him. Right? That's basically saying that if a guy who has cash won't need the brokers, if he's buying, everybody knows he's buying, people are going to come to him, he doesn't need a broker. Rabbi said both say, if someone gives money for produce at an early price, and before the market price is known, he has to go to the threshing floor to inspect it first. So what is the fact that he's inspecting it do? If he's doing a kinyan, just because he showed up is not a kinyan. But if he's going to make a binding sale just by the idea, we mentioned this before, is if he backs out of this deal, is he going to be alver on Misha Pera? Is he going to be cursed by Hachamim for backing it out just because he shows up? Even if he doesn't show up, if he says he's going to buy because he already gave payment, then he should also be over on the curse. So we say that Adam Lakabu Mi B'Shabbat. Really, his appearance is taking upon himself the curse of Misha Para. Yani if he backs out, he'll get cursed. Umandia Hizuza Tra'a Harifan, because one who usually gives money at an early price, Lebeit Hared, he gives to a few sellers. Imid Hazila, therefore, right, he gives to a few guys, sends the money. Then if he shows up to your house, your location where he fronted you the money, Samchadate, then the sale quote unquote is confirmed. The guy says, okay, I'm selling it to this guy. But he doesn't show up. The seller can retract because Amina the Ashkrach Pere de Shapir Midid Shrekat. I thought you found someone else's, and therefore I thought you're going to someone else, right? So the guy sent that money to three people: Reuven, Shimon, Levi. If you show up to Reuven knows he's selling it to this guy. Shimon and Levi, because the guy didn't show up, they could back out and sell it elsewhere because they could say, "I assumed you found somewhere else," and that back out will not have a curse of Misha Pera because there was no reason to believe he was following through. Now you said the person who's showing up is now considered the reliance of the sale. Yani the fact that he showed up to Reuben means that they're going to go through the sale. Not necessarily is to come inspect the goods in the threshing floor. Even if he confirms it in the street, he sees them in shul, tells them, "Hey, we'll do it." That's good enough. The general rule of rebit is reward for waiting for your money is asur. Right, this is a classic case of rebit. Another halacha. Someone gives money to a wax merchant to buy stacks of wax. As the dollar and on the market, the bundle of cake of wax, if you want to call it, goes for 4 per zuz, or cakes per zuz. But Amarlen, the guy tells him, Yahivna lach he he. You pay me now, and I'll give you 5 per zuz later on. It's a nevu gabe share the hachaz, but he has it in stock, it's mutar. Let the nevu gabe asur. If it's not with him, it's asur. So pshita, of course, we know that already. If you don't have it in stock, it's asur. Lo tzricha. The itle ashar de mata. You might think that because he has outstanding orders with the suppliers in town, maybe because he has outstanding orders with the suppliers, and all the wholesalers says, "Oh yeah, I got in stock. I'll ship you at will." So maybe that's considered in stock. It's as if, like we said earlier, the classic case to compare it to is that you have it in stock, but it's locked, or I have to wait for my son to come. Maybe that should be it. That would be a comparison. Kamash Milan, and therefore it should work. It's as if he has the goods. Kamash Milan, since he doesn't have the actual product in hand or the product in purchase, it does not work. Someone borrows small change from his friend, and he finds more coins that he agreed on. He borrowed 5 coins, and he noticed he has more. If it looks like it could be a mistake, he has to give back. But it does not look like a mistake. Looks like the guy gave him a gift. Let's get into that. What does it mean mistake? Yosef. If the difference is in tens or five, it's a mistake. Meaning, if the guy borrowed 100 quarters and he noticed he has 102 quarters, that's a mistake because he gave him more of the same item. But if he gave him a dime, the guy probably didn't care, just threw it in. If the guy is considered a miser, the guy gives extra coins, but the guy's known to be a miser. He's ungenerous. He doesn't give gifts. What's the halacha? Malay says, so, can you keep the money still or no? You say he gave him an extra dime, but the guy is known to be very stingy. So if he's not giving any gifts. Maybe the guy had stolen something from him, and this is his way of paying it back. Anyway, his friend, he hands the money back to him through a different way. He puts the money, he stole $10 from him, and then he's buying a computer from him for $300 and he gives him an extra $10 and never pay back. That's considered returning the funds. Well, let's say different case. The guy's a stingy person, but he never met him before. You just met him now. It's impossible that he stole from him. What's halacha? Can you keep it or not? Maybe someone else had stolen from him. And he told this guy who's borrowing the money, when you're lending this guy some money, make sure you pay back my money as well. So maybe even though you don't know, maybe someone else who dealt with you and stole from you, maybe he's using him to pay back. One time sat by the shiur of Rav. I heard him mentioning gourds. I don't know what he was saying. Why is he mentioning the gourds so many times? But I thought about the Kam Rab once he left. I'm really who I asked the Tamidim. I kari the what's this halachot he's mentioning about gourds? I'm really he told me. Haki Kamar Rab said, I mandi ahib zuzul legina akari if someone's giving money for the gardener to buy gourds from his garden. And in the market at the time, 10 small gourds, each the length of a zeret, which is a half an amma. Right, so let's just call them a half a foot. A zeret's a half a foot. They're going for a zuz. The gardener told the buyers, Yahib nelach b'nei garmida. Pay me now, and when the gourds grow, I'll give you 10 large gourds the size of a full amma, a full foot for the zuz. All right, same price, but bigger. So prepay now, and I'll wait for them to grow. Sharit mutar. Let know, but if they're not in the possession, yani they're still small, asur. Cheetah, of course, if it's not in possession, it should be asur. Yeah, why would you have to wait for it to grow? Maybe you might think since even though he doesn't have the big ones in stock, but he has the small ones in stock and they'll grow. Shapir Dami, therefore, is considered, he already has considered large ones. Kamashrulan, since they're still small, they didn't grow yet, there it's asur. Kiman, who's according to the time of the Braita, the Braita says, Halech, is if some farmer is going to milk his goats, or cut the wool off his sheep or to get honey from his beehive. He asks if he finds his friend. He tells him, I'll give you whatever milk my goat has, or whatever shearings my sheep has, or whatever honey I have from my bee for $100. And he prepays. It's mutar. So whatever comes out, whatever, if a little bit comes out, it's yours. Whatever not a lot comes out, it's still yours. Now, but he told him, if I have 10 gallons of milk and it should be sold to you for a cheap price, goes up to or 10 pounds of the shearings shall be for the price, or if it was 10 pounds of honey and he prepays for it, asur. Because why? Even though the milk, wool, and honey grow and they're still not here, and even though they grow, so meaning, let's say he didn't get the 10 pounds right away. So therefore, you don't think that, maybe you shouldn't think that's considered an advance payment because it'll still grow later. Since they're not here right now, it's asur. This is similar to what we just said. It brought as a proof to the case of the gourds because they're not grown yet. Ikadam, a different version. Maravarava says, since their gourds are growing, it's mutar. So the Gemara says about Tanya, okay, but we know the case of the milk, wool, or honey. Right, so sorry, this Ikadam, the different version was talking about the gourds. Since the gourds will grow, it's mutar. So the Gemara says, okay, but then we have the case of the honey, milk, or wool. Says asur, but they also will grow. The Gemara says, the case of the milk, wool, honey, lav mine kerabu. They're not growing from the time of the agreement. The high because you could remove this batch. Another batch will come in its place. But in case of the gourds, we're talking about these same small gourds are going to grow. Because you take this one, nothing will come in its place. Meaning, the difference is that there's a set item and not a set item. These gourds are the same ones you're going to buy from me later on. I'm not going to get another batch before the season's over. I'm not waiting for next year. The milk, honey, and wool, it's growing tomorrow, it's growing the next week, etc. Therefore, it's different ones. The gourds, however, is a set item. That's why, according to this version, the gourds are mutar, but still the other cases are asur.